Rick and Morty is finally back with Edge of Tomorty, Rick, Die Rickpeat. Were any of our pressing questions answered?
Is Beth a clone?
I don't know.
What's going on with the Citadel and Evil Morty?
I don't know.
What's going on with Phoenix Person?
Yeah. I don't.
The episode primarily focuses on Morty with his ever-going quest to end up with Jessica.
What's up, guys? I'm Dave Klein, and let's break down the first episode of Season 4.
Edge of Tomorty begins with a classic Smith-Sanchez breakfast as Morty is looking over Jessica's Instagram. She got a Margaritaville necklace from her grandmother, indicating her grandmama was a fan of Jimmy Buffett. She's doing the classic Instagram pose
of taking a photo with your camera right about here, because the angle is more flattering.
Despite the fact that it's completely inappropriate at an open casket funeral, which is amazing. She's also used the fantastic hashtag of #Instagramma. Her Instagram handle is Yasica, obviously referencing the new slang.
Which, can we be done with that one, please? Yas. I hate it. Hate it.
We then get one of the very few references to the previous season.
Dad, you can't talk to Jerry that way anymore. We're a real family now. In many ways, things will be like season 1, but more streamlined. Now Jerry and I are happily married parents, and the idea that I was motivated by a fear of you leaving can be eschewed.
Let's go, Morty. I need death crystals from Forbulan Prime.
Dad, there's a way we do this now.
Morty, would you please accompany me to Forbulan Prime for death crystals?
Beth and Jerry seem to be working together now with a new system in place where Rick needs to ask for permission in order to take Morty on adventures.
And that's going to be all we really get that references major plot points from previous seasons. So, on to a more streamlined episode just like Season 1.
We get the brand new intro sequence to Season 4. The question here is which bits that we see for the intro are actually from Season 4 and which ones are just fun gags thrown in. Rick is flying through the cosmos during a space battle towards a mutated space alien that kind of resembles Morty, actually, with Morty's hair and similar faces. It makes me wonder if this at all relates to the bit we saw in the trailer for Season 4 where Morty complains that he's dying. We see a metallic dinosaur/Terminator fusion robot fighting off against snakes, with a for some reason shirtless Morty. Morty gets pulled through a window by Rick as he's beat up by some sort of muscle-bound man. An alien planet shows a giant Morty emerging from the depths. Finally, the Smith-Sanchez family are attacked by a two-headed goose, and it turns out Rick's refrigerator contains secret sci-fi guns.
I don't know if there's a good way to tell which of these will be used, so place your bets now.
I'm gonna go with the metallic dinosaur and Rick getting punched by the muscle-bound guy. After the new intro, we get settled into the A story of the episode. This involves Rick and Morty getting death crystals, which allows you to see the various ways you're going to possibly die. As Rick points out, this is useful during a fight as you can wait and see all of the possibilities, showcasing your death and avoid them. When Morty touches this, we immediately see a large quantity of ways he could die.
Which, I'll just list out all the ones I could find at the end of the video. It's a long list.
One of these is, of course, Rick seeing that he's going to get shot while mining for these death crystals, which causes him to duck with Morty and safely defeat the crystal poachers. After fending them off, Morty sneaks a death crystal into his pocket and finds the possibility of Jessica mourning his death at a ripe old age, notably wearing the same Margaritaville necklace as her Instagram post, leading him to head in any direction, take any action, and say anything that will lead to this outcome. This also leads to my favorite moment in the episode when Morty takes over driving.
Stop! You're gonna make me die wrong! Wait a minute, what? Morty, do you have a death crystal in your pocket?
No, maybe!
You little monster! I thought you were masturbating!
You took that in stride?
You'd rather I address it?
This, of course, leads to Rick's death and our alternating storylines.
Damn it!
On Morty's side, a holographic Rick appears who instructs him on how to create a clone Rick based on a sample from his blood. Morty refuses as this won't lead to dying with Jessica and ends up back at school. In his class, the chalkboard is riddled with references to dicks and butts, one ass plus one ass equals two asses, and classic ways to draw penises. Morty also apparently has a detention along with Corey B. A bully then grabs Morty and slams him against the locker for strutting. He references Coco, basically implying that the only way Morty would be happy after dying is if the movie is correct and people are happily living in the afterlife so long as someone remembers them.
Which I doubt!
Of course, doing this leads to all new ways for Morty to die, now from the bully.
You die tomorrow, no matter what. It's what bullies call a fait accompli.
A fait accompli is a thing that has already happened before the person who's affected by it has heard about it.
One way to think about it is it's kind of similar to one of my favorite memes.
お前はもう死んでいる。何？もうあたくびでき
Morty grabs sci-fi gear from Rick to fight the bullies head-on. One of these bullies looks similar to Randall from Recess and has been used in prior episodes.
We've got an Akira-type situation going on behind the mall. Over.
This is referencing the classic anime/manga Akira, and the song that plays in the background during the scene sounds just like Kaneda's theme from the film. Later in the episode, Jerry complains about this.
Oh, real nice, Rick. Turning our son into an Akira?
And his pronunciation of Akira and anime are actually more accurate to the correct Japanese pronunciations, leading me to wonder if Jerry Smith is secretly a weeb.
While the fight itself isn't really referencing one specific thing I could find during the film,
it seems it's more of the idea of a kid unleashing crazy powers on the unsuspecting and eventually police, similar to Tetsuo near the end of the film. After Morty is arrested, he's able to use the power of the crystal to convince the judge that he can speak to the ghost of her dead husband, getting him off scot-free and causing the judge to, well...
I'm coming for you, Condor!
As we find out from the news ticker, it turns out she's committed suicide in order to be with her deceased husband. Also on the news ticker, no matter how you pronounce LaCroix, you sound stupid. As Morty is being exonerated in the public eye, we see a flash of a pub which just happens to have a sports flag with a picture of Squanchy saying Squanchers. Times Square is also shown, which has a billboard advertising Trover Saves the Universe, Justin Roiland's VR game released earlier this year. On the Adult Swim podcast, one of the character designers on the show, Elisa Phillips, revealed that she realized after the premiere that a background model of her and one of her friends, while initially appearing in Season 2, had been animated for the episode. If I'm not mistaken, based on her description from the podcast, this blonde reporter with glasses is Elisa Phillips, and her friend is the brunette girl holding a boom.
although if Morty killed all of those people and was on the news, will it have ramifications later on this season?
He's a free young man, and as far as continuity goes, the reset button's been hit.
Well, okay then.
After Morty is set free, he heads into the desert and fuses with some black and red fluid. Hologram Rick refers to it as ferrofluid, probably more so due to his look than it actually being that. Ferrofluid is a liquid which becomes magnetized when near something magnetic and was invented for NASA as a type of fuel that could be used in a weightless environment. It also looks really cool when it spikes up.
All of this leads Morty to intersect with Rick, who's been going through his own storyline.
On Rick's end, which is more so the B story, he's continually brought back to life via Project Phoenix and remarks,
Phoenix initiated.
What the hell? I axed this protocol.
This is a reference to the Season 2 episode Big Trouble in Little Sanchez, and where Rick had started a program to create clones of himself, but after Little Rick didn't want to return, he did literally axe the program.
Oh, I also learned this. Operation Phoenix is not the fallback I thought it would be. I guess it's back to the drawing board.
Following the show's usual trend, this episode's name, Edge of Tomorty, Rick, Die Rickpeat, references another piece of media, with Edge of Tomorty being a clear nod to the Tom Cruise sci-fi film Edge of Tomorrow, which even has the tagline, Live, Die, Repeat. In Edge of Tomorrow, Tom Cruise repeats the same day over and over again, with time resetting if he dies. He's able to use the knowledge he ascertains during these periods to help fight a war against an alien invader. Similarly, Rick is repeatedly brought back to life as a clone, with knowledge of his previous existence. Only, time does move forward in this case. Rick's clones seem to repeatedly appear in fascist alternate universes, with the first one showing the President of the United States in the picture shaking Rick's hand, with them now both being fascists instead. Fascist Morty kills his Rick, wanting to go on classic Rick and Morty adventures, and perhaps representing the most extreme fans who want very specific things they liked about the first episodes of the show repeated.
For starters, I just need to get to Forbulan Prime.
You will go where I want you to go!
So, what are we doing?
Stop asking questions, stop doing meta commentary. Just have fun.
Hence, we see Meeseeks brought back as Fascist Morty like Season 1 Meeseeks, and Revolio Clockberg Jr., who first appeared in Season 1's Rick See Business, as well as future episodes. Meeseeks ends all of them, bringing Rick into yet another fascist universe, but as a shrimp, and then as a cuddly fascist teddy bear. Finally, Rick enters a Wasp universe where the Smith-Sanchez family are eating a caterpillar version of Morty's teacher, Mr. Goldenfold. Clone Rick enlists the help of Wasp Rick, and the two return with Rick, for some reason first searching for his Boglin. These were hand puppet toys released in the late 80s and early 90s, and apparently Rick has a strong affinity towards them.
What the? He took my Meeseeks boxes! All that's left are these Kirkland brand Meeseeks boxes!
What do you want?
Kirkland being Costco's brand, with the implication being that the Kirkland Meeseeks is essentially a poor knockoff of the name brand Meeseeks box. Clone Rick appears to help out the other Ricks, and our main Rick accuses him of gaining sentience and trying to take over.
That is some AI racist accusatory Isaac Asimov bullshit right there.
Then what happened? Where's my body?
This is a reference to the prolific science fiction author Isaac Asimov, who began writing science fiction in the late 1930s and frequently wrote about robotics and AI. The two stories converge as Wasp Rick clone Rick in his normal body, and Hologram Rick face off against Morty and pry the Death Crystal from him. After defeating an evolved Hologram Rick, the episode ends with an homage to the very first episode of Rick and Morty.
Oh, 100 days, Rick and Morty forever 100 times. Over and over, Rick and Morty Adventures.com, www.rickandmorty.com, www.rickandmortyadventures.
From now on, Rick and Morty doing a little of this and a little of that.
Yeah, sometimes we'll do classic stuff. Other times we'll do whatever.
Sometimes we won't even do anything. Rick and Morty not doing anything.
100 years,
Pushing
Rick
it
and
to the
Morty
limit.
not
Rick and
sticking
Morty
to one
pushing it to
path.
the
This time, however, they talk about doing whatever they want and sometimes not doing anything. Clearly, once again, some meta commentary, probably showing that not every episode is going to move some major plot point forward and will be self-contained. Just like this episode.
And then we get the great zinger where it turns out Morty's vision of Jessica was, well...
I want to work in hospice. I want to comfort the people who are dying, who have no one else in their lives. The real lonely people. I'm going to look at their name tags and I'm going to say, I love you. Followed by whatever it says on their name tag. Over and over.
What the f***?
And before I go, what better way to end this episode than to list every possible death I could find?
Morty and Rick have toxic chemicals that falls over, and a car splashes them onto Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty getting smashed in a trash compactor. Morty is trying to defuse a bomb, but it blows up in his face. Morty gets his head stuck in an elevator, which then travels up and chops it off. An older Morty is at a party watching two lesbians when he drinks out of a red Solo cup and it doesn't seem to die, but maybe he gets poisoned. I don't really know on this one. A pipe falls out of a car, smashing into the car window that Morty is driving. A vat of acid pours over him, revealing his skeleton. The bully stabs Morty through his oddly very largely open mouth. The bully from earlier in the episode smashes his head with a fire extinguisher. The bully runs over Morty with what looks like a dumpster and jumps on it. Morty's head is smashed together by bricks and his eyeballs pop out. Morty's eating spaghetti with a greeby bobe and seems to choke to his death. Morty is clinging to a fence, watching something that then kills him with burning flames. On my money, this is probably referencing Terminator 2 when Sarah Connor is watching the nuclear apocalypse happen during Judgment Day. Morty eats something near a Christmas wreath that causes his face to blow up and turn purple. While running with Rick on a giant keyboard, Rick makes the jump and Morty doesn't. Rick in a wizard outfit throws knives at Morty, who's tied up to a coffin, and throws one right into Morty. Morty falls into a group of birds who gobble him up. Morty falls off of a skyscraper into helicopter blades. An old redneck Rick with the beard stabs Morty with a pitchfork. Morty opens up a bunch of Russian nesting dolls, with one of them turning out to be some sort of flash bomb that blows up in his face. Dead at an older age, a woman tries to resuscitate him. Morty falls down a staircase to his death. Morty is rock climbing and falls off to his death. Morty falls off of a ladder. Morty is strapped to an electric chair and electrocuted. Old Morty is sitting on the toilet and seems to die from a heart attack. The bully slams Morty's head into a shower head. The bully decapitates Morty with a garbage can. The bully stabs Morty with the American flag. Morty is frozen into a giant ice cube by the bully. The bully knocks Morty's head off with a mailbox. An alien jumping out of an egg at Morty's face. Morty gets flushed down a toilet and out into space. An older Morty gets run over. Tropical Morty somehow dies. Maybe a coconut falls on him? A cement block sinks and drowns him. Rick and Morty falling to their deaths. Getting ripped in half by a giant mutant cat. As Pickle Rick, an animal that looks like it could be a dog, takes a bite out of him. A giant spider grabs him from its spider nest. A gorilla man tears him apart. He's slurped into a giant Morty mutant head purple void. He's smashed by a giant Play-Doh smasher into the shape of a star. He drives a car off a cliff. He's burnt alive. He's drinking and driving when he drives right into a traffic light. He's eating a candy bar and a monster pops out of him, alien style. A Venus flytrap eats both Rick and Morty. A giant purple piranha eats him while he's scuba diving. Two logs smash into his head from either side. A red bug-eyed Rick shoots a laser at and kills normal Rick.
And that wraps up the first episode of Season 4 of Rick and Morty. What did you think of the return, and what do you hope to see next week?